a report by the Presidential Visitation Panel to the University of Lagos has indicted leadership of the institution, led by former Vice-Chancellor, no, he's still the current Vice-Chancellor, yeah, of course, he's still the current Vice-Chancellor, Professor Oluwatoyin Ogundipe, in contract splitting and frivolous contract awards. President Muhammadu Buhari has set up the panel to appraise the financial management systems and overall condition of the university. The panel, led by General Martin Luther Agwai, retired, was inaugurated on March 29, 2021, to evaluate operations in the University of Lagos between 2016 and 2020. Part of the contents of the report reveals that there were 29 income-generating units in the university, of which only 10 were properly accounted for. To discuss this, I'm now being joined by Professor Hamman Tukur Saad, the chairman of the Special Visitation Panel that was first set up before the Martin Agwai panel on the situation at the University of Lagos. Well, Professor Saad, thank you very much for joining us on this Live This Sunday Talk Show.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abati, for giving me the opportunity to, for giving me this opportunity to air my views on this issue of University of Lagos.
Yes, but just before you go ahead,
unfortunately,
Prof, just before you go ahead, Prof,
yeah,
I'd like to frame the question as follows. Now, when you were chairman of the Special Visitation Panel, the first panel, on the basis of whose report Professor Ogundipe was reinstated, your report, in the public domain, reportedly exonerated the Vice-Chancellor. I know that in October and November 2020, you wrote letters both to the Chief of Staff, to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, and also to the Chancellor, the Shehu of Borno, trying to distance yourself. And now we have another panel, a visitation panel, led by General Martin Agwai, which has gone in another direction from your own report, your own panel's report. And do you feel that this latest report is an indictment of your panel? So, what do you have to say in defense of the work that your panel did?
Well, I cannot talk about General Agwai's panel report because I have not read it. I have not read it, and it's not in the public domain yet. Yes, I don't know how you got the report, but seeing from what is written in the newspapers, I don't feel that panel, Agwai's panel, is saying anything other than what we have said in our report. The only difference is that the outcome coming from the white paper, and that is usually with government. What you write in the reports is different probably from what the government does, depending on who are set up to write the white paper. That is why when I had to meet the minister, when I started the work with my panel. And 1, 2, 3, I realized there was something wrong. First of all, this panel was not that it was not properly constituted, but the issue when a Vice-Chancellor and Pro-Chancellor are at war, the University of Lagos law or statute 1962 says in such a situation, the Chancellor should be able to settle the quarrel. But if in case he is not able to settle these issues in-house, he should now appeal to the visitor to set up a visitation panel. So what I realized was that the ministry did not care about the chancellor. They went ahead and wrote the president, and they set up a visitation panel with me as a chairman. So I said, well, these people have confidence in me. I will not betray them, but I'll have to make sure that whatever was done in this panel, it has to go to the chancellor, who was the proper person to actually deal with the issues, not this panel. Because it's difficult for you when you have a panel of people who are anxious to work, and to tell them, look, we have no business doing this work because we are not set up properly. Now, because even Babalakin, who is a lawyer, who was one of the victims of the purported victims of our own visitation panel, did not look thoroughly through the laws, because I have spent all my life in the university environment. For 52 years in the university, 46 of them as a lecturer, and I rose from lecturer 2 up to the level of professor, deputy vice chancellor, and chancellor. So I know the in and out of universities. So when they put me up, I said, well, I can now avail them my own experience so that this problem in Lagos can be resolved without this too much rancor. So we asked the chancellor, please, can we pay a visit to you so that we can abreast you of what is happening? Then the chancellor agreed. He said, but nobody wants to come to Borno at this time. Wait until I come to Kaduna. He came to Kaduna, and 4 members of the team went to see him. We discussed the matter with him, and I told him, and the Fulanis and Kanuris have jokes. I crack jokes that some of the members don't understand. So he agreed. He said, all right. He was not inclined to intervene because he felt the chancellor, the pro-chancellor and vice-chancellor were quarreling. None of them has briefed him. And the ministry was receiving petitions and pressure, and they never informed him. But since I have come with my team, he has agreed to come in and intervene and make sure that this personality conflict is settled without too much rancor, because I didn't want to see the name of the University of Lagos dragged into the mud. University of Lagos is one of the primary universities we have in this country. The premier, I can say, if not the premier. Because being in Lagos is the best city located to interact globally. So I said, look, this is not the kind of university you should drag into mud. So, Chancellor, please go ahead, do whatever you can, call these 2 parties and settle them. Then the Chancellor agreed. I reported back to his Honorable Minister. I said, Honorable Minister, we have asked the Chancellor to intervene and settle this amicably. Unfortunately, I think members of the panel were not inclined to this initially, because they set up a panel, probably there are sitting allowances and so on and so forth, and there is some chairman who is saying, look, let's move this back to the Chancellor and wind up. Say, no. Let's go ahead. Government has set up a panel. They have given you terms of reference. This digression to go and see Chancellor is not part of the panel. I said, no. There is an omnibus TOR, number 5, which says you should do anything that you deem fit that will enable you resolve this issue in the University of Lagos and return the place to peace. So this is the one that we use to involve the Chancellor. But I also had in my mind that this panel, as they set it up, can be challenged in court. And then, fortunately, Babalakin, who is son, didn't see that side of it. He was busy defending himself over certain issues. In fact, when he came up with his submission, you know lawyers, he came with 2 other lawyers and books and books and books to face the panel. So when he was defending himself, I said, this is beyond me. The visitation panels are put up, they are not a legal instrument, they are not something that is subject to laws and legislations. Because this institution of visitation was first of all introduced way back in the 16th or 17th century in Oxford and Cambridge. They have realized the idiosyncrasies of the universities. And instead of subjecting them to judicial panels, they say, all right, let university people set up visitation panel that the common man can understand what they are doing and pass it to the chancellor or to the visitor whose decision is final and cannot be challenged in court. This is the tradition we took 300 years ago. And so we say, all right, there are many lawyers in our panel. In addition to the panel, we had a secretariat consisting of 3 lawyers. Within the panel, there are another three lawyers, because there is one secretary stroke member. She's a lawyer. She was running the secretariat and so on. So from there also I saw some abnormality. I said, how can? Okay, we were the one that drafted this TOR anyway. How can she be a secretary and a member? So she ran the secretariat. And unfortunately, as you have it in Nigeria, when she brought in 2 members to help her, she asked us that we have to call up Mr. X and Mr. Y. I don't want to mention names, they know themselves. But these 2 men were from her place, taking orders from her. Now, the other issue, I look at the panel. I say, look, there's another conflict of interest here. The Vice Chancellor of University of Lagos is a fellow of Academy of Science. One member of the panel is the president of Academy of Science. So if you go to a place, the first thing you do is to look at the terrain. And I look at the terrain. This is the Vice Chancellor who is a fellow. This is the president, in fact, the first lady president of the Academy of Science, a very highly respected lady internationally, and so on, and nationally too. She had been Vice Chancellor in Cross Rivers University. She is a member of shared so many important committees. I cannot question her integrity. But that to put her in this panel that is trying her member was not right. So even this letter I indicated to the minister. But all this because I want some peace, not this. So this Vice Chancellor, or not the Vice Chancellor, not Ogundipe. Ogundipe was one of the people to be tried. But he had a very powerful member there. We respect her. She's senior to me. I knew some of our children, so I have to respect her. Some of the most brilliant architects we produced from ABU. Some of them, one of them was my senior. So I said, all right, I have to now tread with caution. Hold up, please. I have to tread with caution because this woman, I cannot drag her name into mud because of this and that. So at the end of the day, when the Chancellor agreed to intervene, and he also started to intervene by calling the Vice Chancellor and the Pro-Chancellor separately, and each of them agreed they are willing to go for a settlement. And the Pro-Chancellor is insisted. I have discussed with you separately, but I will bring you together and you will sign an undertaking that you will cease hostility. Oh, then I thought I've succeeded. But unfortunately, Nigeria being what it is, the Ogundupe Vice Chancellor, now, when we went back, he said no, he's not going to agree to any settlement. His family was insulted. They are calling him a crook, this, and that. So that attempt now got into trouble. But I said, all right, at least I managed to get them to agree at the end of the day that whatever is written or whatever is said in this report, it should be submitted to the Chancellor to have an input, because it was his own right to settle this matter by law. And I didn't want to embarrass government. They have confidence in me. The other option for me is when such, when such a report, yes.
Yeah, I have just two more questions for you so that we can move on and the panelists can discuss all the issues we've been treating today. Now, you've been in the university system all this while. Why is it that there's always problem between management and council? What do you think is responsible for that? I've been a member of a governing council myself for 4 years at Olabisi Onabanjo University, and this problem looks like it's everywhere. The problem in University of Lagos is out there because of, as you pointed out, the strategic importance of UNILAG. Why is it that management does not want council or, political appointees to dabble into how they run their affairs? Is it about money or is it ego? Is this about Babalakin versus Ogundipe and their individual egos?
No, if I have to give you my own view, I have been a vice chancellor. I have been deputy vice chancellor in ABU for 2 terms before I was appointed a vice chancellor in Federal University of Technology, Minna. I never had a quarrel with my council. I had a very beautiful chairman. He's the most honest Nigerian you can ever think of. But what do you call Barrister Wifa son. This is a man who even does not take money. We give him his own allowances and he will distribute it at the guest house. You can, this man, you have served me well, take. He leaves all the money there. So, money is not a problem for some of these pro-chancellors. Even this Babalakin you are talking about, money is not his problem. All our investigation, we didn't find that he was taking money. He was even helping the university, his own school of law. He was giving them money. Say, all right, you don't have up-to-date law reports. How much? I will give you 500,000 every month. Make sure you are up to date. This is my alma mater. So issue of money, I don't think is important. But the main issue, it lies with government. And sorry to say, my own union, ASU. Now, ASU has managed to get government to be signing agreements with them over all kinds of issues. Now, if you look at the university laws, even before the autonomy, we, staff of the university, we are not government employees. So you cannot sit down. Unfortunately, His Excellency President Babangida started this practice. That, let's sit up, let's sign. So in every 3 years, we will now review these conditions. So every 3 years, that agreement ensured that there will be crisis. And nobody has ever gone to challenge these agreements in court. Probably they would have left a government out of this problem. And it would have been council and the university management. So now, another issue, why you have this recent problem? There is this, what they call due process. Yes, a law was enacted that says, set up a structure for the award of contracts. Yeah, no, at that time I was vice chancellor. So, we asked I asked my chairman, who was a son, yes, senior advocate of Nigeria, a former attorney general of Rivers State. I say, Oga, this paper is coming from government. I don't know its status. He said, no, let me look at it. He look. He said, I have only 3 months to go. Yes, I don't want to get involved in this. I have better cases to deal with. But as I can see it, government has no right to interfere into the university, because every university has an F&GPC, finance and general decision, and then a council. And every university law vests property of university, finances of university, contracts award, and everything in these 2 bodies. Government cannot wake up one day and say they had made a law. And every university law you see, the last paragraph will say that no circular or no law can override this particular law that they have made for this university. But I will not interfere. Now, this thing was going on. Then suddenly, the CVC decided, all right, let's ask the Minister of Justice, what is our status with respect to this law? The Minister of Justice, who then was is it Andoka? I think it's Andoka. Yes, that was sometime in 2010. The Minister of Justice got a panel to look at it in his own system, and then they wrote. Now, they pointed out so many reasons why universities should not be involved in this issue of government, the Public Procurement Act, that there are so many points even. Because most of this law says the council shall be the governing body of universities and shall be charged with the general control and superintendence of the policy, finances, and property of the university. There shall be a committee of council, every university law you like that, to be known as Finance and General Purpose Committee, which should subject to the direction of the council, exercise control over the property and expenditure of the university, and perform such other functions of the council as the council may from time to time delegate to it. No, so and then this Andoka's Andoka's letter to the CVC, when I had to say, the Public Committee Act makes no specific reference to the universities. The lawmaker refrained from listing universities among the institutions to which it's intended to apply. And the law defines the procurement entity as any public body engaged in procurement and includes a ministry, extra-ministerial office, government agencies, parastatals, and corporations, which does not mention universities. Now, and the Andoka, in his letter to the CVC, he said, generalia non derogant specialibus. This is some Latin that lawyers like to use to bamboozle the common man. Then he explained, a general law like the PPA cannot be said to derogate from specific provisions of university acts, which, with respect to the award of contracts and other matters covered by the act. Powers vested, yes, these are important because these are why the quarrel is. This is the main of the quarrel. Powers vested cannot be taken away from implication by implication of law. The law must be specifically abrogated the original sources of that authority. The PPA failed to specify that way, the power of universities and so on. So he went on and so on and so on. His own stand as Attorney General of this federation was clear that universities should be left out. They have a very nice structure, which can deal with all this problem of procurement and so on and so forth. But to my surprise, I was out of the university by the time this issue started to come.
Okay, Prof. It's been quite a busy day for us on this program, but we'll need to go. My final question, if you can make it very brief, so that we can move on to other things, is this. What do you think is the way forward for the University of Lagos? Will you recommend that, Babalakin SAN should be reinstated? What will you recommend?
No, what is happening is, toward the end, because you have seen what I've written, we said, all right, most of the panel was on the opinion that Babalakin, because of the procedure he used in removing the Vice Chancellor and instating another acting Vice Chancellor, he has contravened so and so. And you have 5 lawyers in that place. So it is the council that should be dissolved. And Ogundipe, whom, if you could read in our report, we have found a lot of these things that Agwai is purported to say. I'm not saying so because I've not read it. Like splitting of contracts, we have mentioned it. Like hiding finances from government. We found almost 10 billion that council never knew. F and GPC never knew. When we asked the bossa, look, what is it that you present to council during all this, or to F and GPC during this discussion? So no. What we do here, we discuss the performance of the budget. Performance of budget. That means that 10 billion is kept aside. It's kept aside. It's not. Council is not informed. So this is a contravention of every law we know in this world. And then splitting of contract. I am an architect. When I say a contract split, I know. You take one house, you want to renovate it, then since the money is above your own approval limit, you got them to award 5 contracts. It may also be to the same contractor. Yes, on the same project. But
well, Prof,
so
I guess
this one too was obvious.
Prof, I guess you already answered my question. I would like to thank you very much for sparing the time to have this conversation with us on this live, this Sunday talk show. Quite a busy day for us, but thank you for your time. Thank you.